Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Cassidy. Thanks so much for watching. Today's video is a little January reading wrap up. So all of the books I read in January. I read 5 books this month, which I thought was pretty good considering the month got off to a rough start with my reading, but I brought it back at the end of the month and I read some really good books, so I'm excited to share all of the books I read this month, so let's get into it. Also, to make it a little easier on myself, I started doing a reading journal and I love it so much. It's so fun, first of all, but it's also been nice to keep track of all of the books that I've read and like have it just be like an easy way to be like, oh, what did I rate this book? What did I think of it? Here's January. And the first book I read this month was The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, which I read on my Kindle. And this book follows Hannah and Jack. Hannah is an elite bodyguard and she's hired to be a bodyguard for this like A-list celebrity, Jack, because he has a stalker, which at the beginning of the book, it's just an obsessed fan, and then by the end of the book, it becomes a lot more than that. But Jack's mom gets sick, and so he goes back to his family's home, and he doesn't want his family to know that he has a stalker. He doesn't want them to get worried, especially because his mom's sick right now. So he wants Hannah to pretend to be his girlfriend so that his family doesn't know. But that turns into quite the sticky situation. Feelings get involved. It's so cute. I love a fake dating trope that gets me like every time. Usually I like a steamy romance, and there was no steaminess in this book, but it really didn't bother me. I just thought it was a super cute book, like a fun book to start the year with, and I highly recommend it. I did give it 4 stars as I thought the characters had really good chemistry. I also liked the reversed gender roles where Hannah is the one that's the bodyguard and Jack is the celebrity. I feel like normally it would be the opposite way around, so I enjoyed that a lot. But overall, I really liked this book and I would recommend it. Okay, next up, I read Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. I hated it. I can't even describe how much I didn't like this book. I have read other Tessa Bailey books before and I really liked them, so I was really excited for this book. It gave me nothing, and I got this book for Christmas, so I was really excited to read it like right after Christmas. I rated it 1 star.
It's so bad, I want to give you a 0, but that's not possible. So I give you a 1.
That's how much I didn't like it. It follows Beat and Melody, whose moms were both in a band together like years and years ago, but the band has split up. Beat is being blackmailed and he needs a lot of money very quickly. So when someone approaches him, like a producer, to get the band back together and to film it for $1 million, he says yes. So it's up to Beat and Melody to bring their moms back together for a Christmas Eve performance. But in order to get the money, they have to be successful in doing so, and they have to be on a live stream TV show. It's insane. This whole book is insane. I really didn't know what it was about when I decided that I wanted to read it. I just enjoyed Tessa Bailey's books, and I thought like, oh, it's Christmas, it's the holidays, cute, Christmassy read. No. First of all, I don't know who names their kid Beat. Like, I get it. It's like Beat and Melody are like musical names, but Melody's not a weird name, but Beat is. That's strange. It's also like an insta-love trope, which I despise. Basically, Beat and Melody meet when they're 16, but for like the brief, like very brief second they meet. And they have this like instant attraction to each other and they're like connected. And then they don't see each other for years and years later until Beat needs Melody's help doing this. That spark is still there and Melody's like, I've never been able to like find a connection the way that I had with you. And it's like, what connection? Because you didn't even know each other when you were 16. You met each other one time. I also hated the writing in this book. Like, Beat would say things and I was like, that is absolutely so cringy. At one point, he says to Melody, you're going to absolutely slay. And that is just I don't know why. That is so cringy to me. I don't need anyone saying that to me, let alone a man saying that to me. And quite possibly the biggest thing about this book was that Beat had an intimacy issue that was so absurd and felt so out of place in this book. Like, I just don't even think it ever needed to be in there to begin with. It did nothing for the story except make me be like, what is happening? It was just so absurd. I wanted to like this book and I actually wanted to DNF it, but I was so far into it, I was like, I can't. Like, it was like so bad. I needed to get to the end to be like, I did it. And now I can like just talk about how bad it is. I don't know why I felt the need to finish it, but I did. I don't know. It just wasn't good. I'm gonna stop talking about it now. Okay, next I read Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden this summer and I loved it, and I haven't gotten the chance to read the second book yet, but I'm really excited for it. I was also sent an ARC for Frida McFadden's newest book, The Teacher, which comes out February 6th, and I'm really excited. I need to read that like right now. That's the next book I'm gonna read. Never Lie follows Trisha and Ethan, who are newlyweds. They've been married for 6 months and they are currently searching for their dream home. They're viewing this house in the middle of nowhere when a snowstorm hits, and they're trapped in this home for like multiple days, and they come to find out that it's the house of Dr. Adrian Hale, who went missing 3 years ago. There's like nothing to do in the house. They have no signal. So Trisha, while she is snooping around, finds a bunch of cassette tapes that Dr. Hale had used to record her patients' sessions, and Trisha starts listening to them and putting together the pieces of what happened the night of Dr. Hale's disappearance. This book is really good. I rated it 3 stars, but I would probably rate it 3.5 stars. All the way up until the ending, I thought it was really good. I honestly thought I'd figured out the twist, and I was like kind of proud of myself, but kind of mad that I'd figured it out. But then you get to the ending and it's like, wow, that's so absurd. It almost felt like she got to the end, she being Frida McFadden, and she was like, okay, what do I do now? And then she just kind of threw together this random ending, because I feel like if I were to reread the book, it wouldn't make sense. Like, there were no hints at all, which I get is kind of the point of a thriller. To obviously there's like gonna be a twist that like really throws you off, but this was like, it made no sense. Like, I'm genuinely confused. I'm still confused and I'll stay confused, but it was a good book and I enjoy like her writing style and I love a good thriller, but I'm hoping The Teacher will be a little bit better because like I said, I loved The Housemaid. The next book I read, I'm literally obsessed with. I can't stop thinking about it. It's Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This book, so my roommate recommended me this book, and usually I'm not a fantasy person. I say that as I have Fourth Wing right behind me, but I'll read it. I will. But usually I'm not a fantasy person, but I want to get into fantasy, which is why I have Fourth Wing too. I'm also not into YA. I don't like YA like at all, really. But she was like, you have to read this book. It's so good. The sequel just came out. She just finished reading the sequel. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. And I'm so glad I did. And she was like, it doesn't even feel like YA. It doesn't really feel like fantasy. Like, kind of feels like a historical fiction. So I was like, okay, I'll bite. I'll read it. I am obsessed. I'm just stuck in this world. I need to find a book that's like this one because I'm obsessed. So this book follows Iris and Roman, who live very different lives, but the one thing they share in common is that they both work at the newspaper and they are each other's rivals. They're both up for a promotion at work and one of them is gonna get it. So they're constantly like going back and forth at work, but meanwhile at home, Iris's brother is away at war right now. It's been a few months and Iris hasn't heard from her brother at all, so she started writing him letters, not because they're actually going to him, but just to imagine that she is. She types these letters on a typewriter and she just puts them in her closet. And meanwhile, Roman is getting these letters and he starts replying to her letters, but she doesn't know that it's him, but Roman knows that it's Iris. And it's so adorable. And then throughout the book, she's slowly uncovering like who she's writing to and who she's talking to. It was so good. The writing is so good. Like, Rebecca Ross she's away with words. And I was just like lost in this story. 5 stars. So good. So of course my next read was the sequel, Ruthless Vows, which was just as good in my opinion. I saw a lot of reviews on Goodreads that were saying they didn't like this book as much because it was a lot more focused on the war, which you don't get a lot in the first book, but I actually enjoyed that. This book is less about the romance between Iris and Roman, although you do still get a lot of chapters and a lot of parts where they are together and it is about their romance, but for reasons I can't say, it was sometimes less about their romance and more about the war. But it was also just so good. Highly recommend. I give this one 5 stars too. The beginning was like a little bit slow, But then once I got into it, I could not put it down. I can't stop thinking about this. I can't stop thinking about the first book. Rebecca Ross has an adult series, or a duology, so my roommate and I are gonna read that together, and I'm so excited. I think actually we're gonna go get it tomorrow night, but I cannot wait. Love, 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 love this series. So good. Okay, well, I guess that wraps up today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you guys read this month. I'd love to hear. Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you have any good romantasy recommendations that aren't Fourth Wing or Divine Rivals. I'd love to know, because I think I'm entering a new genre era. It was last year was sports romance. This year, it's romantasy, I think. I say that now, but I'll go back to the sports romance. But for now, it's romantasy, and I would love to hear some recommendations. Also, you can't see very well right now, but my earrings are little books, and they're so cute. Like, how cute! I forgot to show these in my Christmas haul, so my bad. But shout out Aunt Chrissy for these, because they are so cute, and I've been wearing them so much, so thank you. All right, see you in the next one.